Let's freaking go. Let's go. Obviously, a lot to get to tonight. I am fired up about tonight, as I am for every live stream. And the reason why I do this channel is because of the ability to get to connect with everybody in LSU Tiger Nation. We have a lot of good news about the channel that I will share in just a moment. As always, get your questions answered first. The Venmo Cash App at Carter the Power, booger bands, all that good stuff. So obviously the lead story today, not too much Brian Kelly related news other than Matt House officially getting his contract. He will be making $1.9 million a year, according to Brody Miller of The Athletic. Or should I say the New York Times? It's pretty wild, correct? That Matt House, all this stuff is happening now. So we're going to talk about Brian Kelly, but today, this live stream is going to be a little bit more player focused because, of course, we get the news that Derek Stingley officially is going to the NFL. That's not a surprise to any of you. But the bigger loss is Cordell Flott, right? Because you thought that Cordell Flott would probably come back, but he is indeed going pro. We say hi to Chris. We say hi to RSX. We say hi to Tommy. And, of course, Chris brings up another big story here. Quincy Wiggins did get in a little bit of an accident. I spoke to a few sources, and he should be fine, right? So Sam Spiegelman, one of the best reporters in the game, a friend of mine, says Quincy Wiggins is fine. He tweeted out, Quincy Wiggins himself, it's not a serious accident. It's nothing that you have to worry about. But at the same freaking time, he's kind of important, right? Quincy Wiggins. Normal years, it wouldn't be the be-all, end-all that Quincy Wiggins got hurt. But we are dangerously thin on all three levels of the defense. And if you haven't seen Quincy Wiggins yet, he is a monster. He's a really good football player. A little raw, but he's definitely going to be able to play next year. When you're that freak of an athlete, you'll figure it out. So congrats to Skipper getting his boog bands today. Chris also got his booger bands today. I'm pretty fired up about that as well. So, yeah, that's cool stuff. Good to see you, Towboat. Good to see you, Ed. Good to see you, Denley. I love it. From New Roads. Good stuff. So, quick thing about the women's basketball game. I was in the PMAC when Maya Moore. Do you remember this, guys? When Maya Moore went up against Sylvia Fowles, that was such a great game. So, yeah, I think you should feel pretty good about Quincy Wiggins going into next year. We're going to need him, though, guys. There's no other way around it. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. So this is cool. Rock my boog bands to the airports today. Have one hooked on my bags. That's cool stuff right there. Thank you so much. Aaron's in the house tonight. I think Big Al's going to be in here. A few of you have asked about Big Al. Let's see, DC. Good to see you, man. So look, the top question tonight, that's our poll question for right now. What is Derek Stingley's legacy at LSU? Right? Mike, I'll go ahead and answer your question. You look new to the channel and you look pretty fierce and young to be typing this out, Mike. I'm kidding. Cool stuff. We love seeing the little ones. I actually had really fro hair when I was little as well. So I love the fierceness of this photo. Yeah, I like Jamar Cain a lot. People that know way more about football than I do, especially in Oklahoma circles, think this was Brian Kelly's best hire. So, yeah, that's obviously really good stuff because Andre Carter, his farewell video was kind of emotional today. I kind of hated seeing that. So, yeah, there you go. So there you go. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you, Big Daddy. Jerry, just shoot me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com, and we'll figure it out. I'll give you where you could send some money for some book bans. Sting will be remembered as a great athlete, no doubt about it, but he gave up on his brothers, and that's unacceptable. So look, you can't really say gave up because he was very injured, but at the same time, for me, I can't have Derek Stingley in my top 5 defensive backs of all time. Now, I did a Twitter poll on this earlier today, and I'll show you the results of the Twitter poll. I'm interested to see what people on Twitter say compared to the poll results that we have here. But I want to show you this right here, okay? This is, to me, the unquestionable names you have to have in the top 10 LSU defensive backs of all time. These are non-debatables to me. So let me know what you guys think about this list right here. So this is how I feel too, Chris. So let me move this this banner real quick. So these are the names, once again, not fancy graphics. These are without a doubt the first 5 names are without reasonable doubt in the top 10. The first 3 names are without reasonable doubt in the top 5. I think it's kind of hard to take Grant Delpit out of that top 5 as well. So I think if Derek Stingley is going to be a top 5 defensive back, just based on resume, we're not talking about natural ability. Sting is no better than number 5. And I just can't see an argument for Derek Stingley over Trey White either. So for those that answered top 5, I'm sorry, you just can't put Derek Stingley in the top 5 over Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Jamal Adams, Grant Delpit, Trey White. You could make the strongest case in the world for Derek Stingley Jr. He's not over any of those 5 guys. There's just no way. Now, you could say his peak was better than those 5 guys, but still. Let's see. We got to get linebackers. Where's Josh White, Antoine Tampa, Webb been? Philip Webb played, but he played more of a traditional end. What's interesting, KMC, is I think Matt House will see Philip Webb for who he truly is, a standing outside linebacker. And that would be the position Philip Webb would play in a Matt House system. The same position that Josh Allen played, the 2018 top 10 overall pick to the Jaguars. Sampa and White, I have no idea, KMC. It is ridiculous how many times I get asked about those 2 players. But most importantly, round of applause. KMC, our first super chatter of the night. So that's the thing, right? I think, we'll get back into this. If you guys want to continue talking about this, that's perfectly fine as well. Top 5 talent, I think that's pretty fair. Top 10 career, maybe. So I think even after that, the top 8, Chad Jones and Mo Claiborne and LaRon Landry, I think would be the next 3 on my list. Greedy Williams would be in discussion. I also think Dante Jackson is very underrated. And then, guys, Christian Fulton is also a very underrated LSU Tiger. You can make a strong case for Christian Fulton being a top 10. Then you get to that next tier, right? You then get into Craig Steltz. Where's Craig Steltz on this list? He's somewhere in that region. I don't think Craig Steltz would be in my top 10. He's close. So, yeah. Do you think we're a 4-man or a 3-man line? I think it's a 3-man, but I can easily see a 4-man line, a la what the Kansas City Chiefs do now, right? What's really cool about Matt House's defense is Go Lady Tigers. Are you watching the game? I am not watching the game. I'm focusing in on you, but I am paying attention to the game. And once again, I was going to push the live stream time back to 9 because of the game, but I want it to be consistent. 8 p.m. is our normal Thursday time, which is why, Mark, we had to reschedule with Justin Vincent. So Justin Vincent was going to try and make it work with the game tonight, but once again, his role with LSU Athletics, King Robert, his role with LSU Athletics is probably more important than this channel. So, Mark, you were the one that actually hooked it up with Justin Vincent. Justin Vincent will be on the channel, though. He assured us that he will be on here. Once again, though, this is a pretty big deal tonight for LSU Tiger Athletics. So you guys keep me updated on the score if you can. So I agree with King Robert here. I just don't think you can put Stingley in the top 5. Top 10, you have a little bit more of an argument, right? If he would have played this year and been Derek Stingley like he was in the first couple of games, outside of that, the end of that UCLA game, which was kind of rough, I do think he was a little banged up, though, because he got truck stick pretty hard, which wasn't his fault. Yeah, Derek Stingley's legacy is kind of weird, right? Because he played in this Ed Orgeron defense these last couple of seasons, right? But here's the thing, right? If you're going to put Derek Stingley in the top 5, okay? If you're going to put Derek Stingley in the top 5, all right? I hate it when people do this, okay? Without Stingley, we don't win the game versus Auburn in 2019. That is true. Derek Stingley really did win us that game in 2019. He had a fumbled punt return that was costly, but he was so freaking good in that game. So he had the big interception right before half. And if we didn't have Stingley in 2019, our defense would not have been as good. Yeah, that's true. There's no doubt about Stingley's greatness in 2019. But let me ask the chat this question. Who was a better corner in 2019? Okay, put all your. I know some of you are kind of sour towards Sting for not playing as much these last couple seasons. Thank you so much, Jared, for the super chat here. Who was a better corner? Okay, was Christian Fulton a better corner than Derek Stingley? Okay, type Y for yes, type in for no. Was Christian Fulton better than Derek Stingley? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Right? So Stingley on defense was phenomenal in that game, but he had a punt return in that game. So Gasly says Fulton was better. No, yes. Draco said yes at time. I tend to agree with Jared here, right? I would say yes. I would say yes to this. That they're equal, right? Because Christian Fulton was pretty daggum good. Yeah, Fulton had some better games. I will say this, okay? Two things can be true at once, all right? Derek Stingley's Clemson game was very underrated as well, okay? Derek Stingley was super underrated in the Clemson game, especially now that we know how good T. Higgins was, and that was when Justin Ross was still healthy for them. Derek Stingley was phenomenal against Clemson, right? That was a very underrated game. But at the same time, if we're gonna be dead honest about it, Christian Fulton had some rough moments that year. Texas game was one of them, but Christian Fulton didn't have as bad of a game as Derek Stingley did versus Alabama that year, right? So there's no other way around it. I would probably still go Sting a little bit better than Fulton for that 1 year. But once again, Christian Fulton's career was better than Derek Stingley based on longevity, right? So, yes, I think Fulton was very underrated. So, yeah. So, here's my thing about top 5. I just don't – I understand LSU is DBU, and Stingley has a huge fan base in Baton Rouge. And he's got a huge fan base on this channel. There's no other way around it. When I talk about him, people light up. he's not better than any of these top 5 names, right? There's no argument to be made versus Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, and Jamal Adams. There's just not. There's not one you can make it versus Grant Delpit either, right? As Carver said, Grant Delpit in 2018 is as good of a safety as LSU's ever had. And I think Trey White you have to put ahead there as well. And then these next 3 names, I would put ahead of Stingley as well. Once again, a little bit of longevity attached to that. And then, Stingley is 9 or 10 after these 8. Let's see. Who is a better blitzer, Adams or Delpit? I would say Delpit, but Adams didn't blitz as much as Delpit did. So, yeah, let's see. Alex says my top 5 is Tyrann, PP, Jamal, Corey Webster, very underrated as well. So, you can make a strong case for Corey Webster. Some of you could make a case. Well, I don't think you could make a case for Jack Hunt, but he was good. Jack Hunt was very good. Got to be careful saying that name because you can get demonetized. Yeah, Delpit. Delpit is for sure top 5. I think the top 3, though, for me, it's going to be really hard to ever crack in that top 3. Peterson, Mathieu, and Adams. Now, I know some of you like to separate safeties from defensive backs. Because my top 3 were 3 completely different players: Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, and Jamal Adams. They played 3 different positions, but still, it's tough, right? And once again, for me, part of who you are as a player is your availability, is your ability to be there for the team. And that's one of the big pluses. And Eric Reed, he's probably in that. I would probably go Eric Reed over Sting as well, right? And the reason why I'm cropping all the DBs together is because, we say DBU, right? LSU is DBU. So once again, Eric Reed. I would probably take LaRon Landry and Chad Jones over Eric Reed, but that's tough. That's close. I know a lot of you would disagree with that. Some of that might be recency bias. But I would say Chad Jones over Eric Reed, just by a smidge, though. Just by a smidge. But if we're going to be honest about it, Eric Reed probably made the best defensive play in the history of the program, right? The interception versus Michael Williams versus Alabama, right? Big Cage. Harold Simon was a little underrated too. I think he left a year early though. I wish he would have stayed. Also, Harold Simon having a guard Edelman in that Super Bowl was just unfair. But he never backed down. I give Harold Simon a lot of credit. I had a few classes with Harold, a really awesome dude, really funny guy. Trey White, my boy. You'd put Steltz in your top 10? That's tough. I mean, for me to put Steltz in the top 10, I don't know if he's top 5 safety. And I cried because I gave away my Craig Steltz autograph. I gave it to Rob. I think Rob's in here somewhere. So Steltz, top 5 safeties. Let's see. That's tough. Chad Jones was better than Craig Steltz. Jamal Adams was better than Craig Steltz. Grant Delpit was better than Craig Steltz. Ron Landry was better than Craig Steltz. And then Eric Reed was better than Craig Steltz. So it's tough for me to have Steltz in my top 5, but he was good. He was really good, right? He's the best safety at most schools, right? Yeah, Greedy. He's not in my top 10, but he's really good. He's really good. Once again, top 5 hardest hitters for sure. I agree with that. I agree. But yeah, once again, if you factor in national championships and all that, which I don't, Steltz is up there. Damian James, Master Blaster. Sip says Jalen Mills a little overrated. So Jalen Mills is an interesting case, right? He started every game he played, right? And if it wasn't for the suspension, I think he would be the only LSU defensive back to ever start every game over a 4-year period. Also, Jalen Mills, outside of Tyrann Mathieu, you can make a strong case, is the most versatile defensive back ever at LSU. He played every position. But yeah, Jalen Mills, underrated for sure. Top 10? Nah, I don't think he'd be in my top 10. It's tough, right? Tommy Casanova, yeah, I'm sticking to the modern era, though. Once again, it's tough, right? It's tough to go all the way back. It's tough to even, especially with the SEC, changing so much over the past decade. It's tough to, include those mid-2000 guys as well. But, I normally talk just modern era here. So then, you get into Tommy Casanova and those names. But yeah, I Trey White's in my top 5. He's my number 5 guy, right? So yeah, and I also think Dante Jackson was very underrated, right? Dante Jackson is in that Jalen Mills, Tyrann Mathieu category as someone who played every position. He played the nickel, played traditional corner, played safety, and he did all of it at a high level. One of the faster defensive backs as well. So football IQ as well. Dante Jackson is incredible. I mean, he was an encyclopedia of knowledge. So yeah. And what's crazy is, no one's mentioned Chevis Jackson, who, once again, you talk about great plays. He had the interception versus Alabama, and then he had the most underrated play in LSU history, in my mind, was the strip of Terry Robisky versus Ohio State, which would have been a touchdown that would have stretched their lead. Not only did he prevent the touchdown, on the very next play was a Ricky Jean-Francois blocked field goal, and then we scored a touchdown. So that play was a 14-point swing in a national championship game. It's the most underrated play in LSU history. It's hard for me because, we never talk about that play, right? And then Jonathan Zenon, the pick 6 versus Tennessee. And when those two guys can't get in the top 10 defensive back discussion, it's hard, right? It just is. Yeah, Kevin Tolliver's, once again, it's kind of like that Stingley thing, right? Top 10 talent, played in the NFL. And, you get into other, guys like Rashard Robinson who left the program. There's just, it's so hard. So once again, if Stingley would have played this year, he's probably in my top 10. But he didn't. And, that's the thing. Part of the greatness of Jamal Adams was, when Jamal Adams, he's going to show up and play, right? You never have to worry about Jamal Adams getting hurt for an extended period of time, which, he's had some injuries in the NFL, but every time Jamal Adams was locked in, ready to go, team leader, all those intangibles attached to Jamal Adams. So yeah. Yeah, Danny, I was going to wait and start to do the live stream after the women's game. I know it's probably hurting some of my views. It's life, right? Kim Mulkey all the way. My girlfriend's attached to the TV because she loves the shop that Kim Mulkey gets all her clothes from. So, yeah. Pat, Tyrann, Jamal, Trey White, Sting. That's tough. So you're putting Stingley over Grant Delpit, right? I don't. You see, it's just really hard to make that argument, right? Where Grant Delpit gave you 3 phenomenal years, right? And I know a lot of people say, well, he fell off in 2019 and he didn't win the Thorpe. He was still really good that year, right? Touchdown saving tackle versus Auburn. That was a big play in that game. He was still great. So absolutely, you're putting Sting over Delpit. Tyler, that's fine. That's why you come here, right? You can have any opinion you want. That's good. Craig Lawson, really good player, 5-star recruit. I knew Craig Lawson. He actually gave me a wristband after a game. Love me some Craig Lawson. Ryan Clark, I'm mostly sticking to modern era. Damian James, I think I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Damian James. That might be a throwback. And Adrian, thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Damian James. Can someone you guys I don't lie to you when I don't know anything about a player. I don't know anything. I don't. Let's see. Damian James. I do have to Google this. Let's see. So early 2000s, Damian James from Karen Crow, free safety. Let me see. Played 3 years. Cool stuff. I learn new things every day. Early 2000s. So lots of LaTerrence Welch love in here. But yeah, that's why I wanted to start off tonight. What is Derek Stingley Jr.'s legacy? Right? But anyway, you guys can super chat anything you want. We'll talk about whatever you want. LSU football related tonight. Pretty fired up about tonight. I'm obviously going to be cheering for Derek Stingley. No matter where he goes, no matter what he wants to do with his life. I am all behind the Sting train. Let's see. I don't think anyone would disagree with you on that. Yeah, there's no way. I need Miles to stay healthy once again. Congrats, Tommy. Welcome to the Booger Band Club. Good to see you. So Master Blaster, his legacy is incomplete, right? Yeah, it's left a lot to be desired. So, yeah, it's how I feel too, right? You do feel that. Now, you only feel that way because of all those names we just talked about, right? Now, what's interesting, Master Blaster, and I brought it up before on this channel, I still don't know what happened to Derek Stingley this year. No one ever asked how he got hurt, where he got hurt. I know it was in practice, but we don't really have much details about what exactly happened. And then when we started losing, there was just no reason for him to come back on a sinking ship. I don't think any one of us would have done it. We can hoorah. We're the biggest LSU fans of all time. But it's tough, right, to join that defensive scheme where you're playing man coverage on every snap. It's tough, right, to go from Dave Aranda to so yeah, let's go to Danielle here. I know I'm in the minority on most things here, but I've never been that impressed with the limited play of Sting. He has made solid plays and missed some as well when he is healthy. Very interesting. Chillmonger, good to see you. One of the best freshman years. Yes. Best career. No. I think everyone would have, but I think that's how I stand. Best true freshman defensive back ever. I would say so. I would say yes to that. You could still, honestly, you can make a case for all the people that we already have in our top 5, though. Grant Delpit was phenomenal as a true freshman. Jamal Adams was phenomenal as a true freshman. And it's kind of crazy, but Tyrann Mathieu as a true freshman, he did some things that we've never seen before. The North Carolina game to start the year, and then Tyrann Mathieu's Texas A&M game is still very underrated, right? Guy, he was so good in that game. He was transcendent in that game. You can make the case that was his best game. That Texas A&M game, I get chills thinking about it. He did some stupid things in that game that don't make any sense. That final strip sack, and you get the I'll pull it up in a second. You get the iconic photo of Tyrann Mathieu with T-Bob and Will Blackwell, they were taking photos of. It was so cool. Yeah, I mean, Tyrann Mathieu's true freshman season was insane. And Jamal Adams as a true freshman was really good too. So yeah. 865 in the house. Jalen Mills had a good true freshman season. But people bring up the TJ Yeldon play if I say that. He played admirably. And that was because, Tyrann didn't play in 2012. So, yeah, I would probably say TM7's true freshman season's the best. Right. And this is how I feel too, Tyler. I think Pat and Tyrann are on a different tier than everyone else. And then you get into Jamal and Grant, and I think they're in their own little tier. And once again, that it gets into positions and all of that. But I still think PP7 and Tyrann are up here. And then there's a little bit of a gap, and then we start getting into the other names. Pig Cage is baby Tyrann. It's amazing how many Pig Cage fans there are. I love it. I wish Johnny Five was in here. He wanted Pig Cage to start from the get-go. I mean, he had a great season this year. And I'm glad he got his opportunity to play. And honestly, let's be honest, Pig Cage has that dog in him. Every Rummel player that's ever played has that bite to them, right? They're good teammates. They put out great effort. Every single Rummel Raider. So I give a lot of credit to that program. They put out dogs. Now that we have our DC, we should go after hard Jacoby Matthews and Citizen. Who's in the portal we should go after? Well, it's interesting. I know we just got our offensive line coach from Arkansas, but there are two interesting Razorbacks that are in the portal, right? And I'm a big play Fouché guy, Joe Fouché, out of McDonough, 35 in New Orleans, has had a phenomenal career at Arkansas, still has one more year of eligibility. That would be the first call I would make. Also, Brooks out of their secondary went into the transfer portal as well. Once again, we're seeing a bunch of sloppy seconds in the SEC. And judging by some of our chat, plenty of you have had sloppy seconds in your life, right? It's just SEC culture. A lot of schools have players jumping from SEC West school to SEC West school to SEC West school, right? Max Johnson goes to Texas A&M. Zach Calzada from A&M goes to Auburn. TJ Finley from LSU goes to Auburn. Miles Brennan from LSU goes back to LSU. So yeah, it's very interesting. Chris brought up a really good question earlier. What about the DT Wingo from, I don't know too much about him. I know he had a good freshman season for Missouri. The main connection there is obviously Wingo played high school football for Robert Steeples, who is the new defensive back coach at LSU, or defensive assistant. I'm guessing he's going to coach the DBs. So we'll see. Zay, come on. Zay, this is old news. Get out of here with this, Zay. So yeah, Chris, those two Arkansas DBs. Frank Wilson bringing in some more dogs. So many of you want Eli Ricks to get matched up with Kayshawn, right? I do too. No, there's two defensive back coaches, Steeples and Cooks. Let's see. I don't know the answer to this, Tyler. I don't know. I don't think so. But I will say we still don't know exactly what happened. We just know he got hurt in practice. That was my only point. But yeah, Rob, we just shouted you out, man. I don't think anyone's faked an injury. Stingley just flat out didn't play enough. Rob has my Craig Stelz auto, but that's what I want to do on the channel. I want to give you guys a lot of these cards that have given me happiness. So Rob got the Craig Stelz autograph, and yeah, we're giving out more autograph cards with your Booger Band orders. I don't like giving out my autos though. Don't. But Rob deserved it because Rob's been with us for a while. Thank you so much, Rob. Feeling on how Flott will do in the draft. He's got long arms. He's played 2 positions in the secondary. He will get drafted. I could see him go undrafted as well, though, Alex. I could. So, yeah. And Mark did get a J Hill auto, right? Mark not only got a J Hill auto, he got a J Hill auto patch. Once again, we're just being generous here. Let's see. Carter Heike put Mathieu over Stingley when Tyrann was selfish and got kicked off the team for smoking. But Stingley gets hurt. I can't put a curse word up there. Come on, Sip. Come on, Sip. Keep the language clean. You make a good point. How can you put Mathieu over Stingley when Tyrann was selfish and got kicked out? It's a good point. It's a very valid point, okay? And as many of you know, Tyrann's top 5 LSU Tiger for me personally, just one of my favorites. A lot of it has to do with Tyrann having 2 elite years and Stingley only having 1, right? It's a huge difference, right? Where you give 2 elite years of production. That's also part of the reason why I have Patrick Peterson over Tyrann Mathieu. Also, Tyrann Mathieu's 2011 season was way better than Derek Stingley's 2019 season. 2 different positions. They did 2 different things. But Tyrann's peak was not just the highest peak of any LSU defensive player ever. It's the highest peak of any college defensive back I've ever seen. So he's kind of a unique player. Once again, they play 2 different positions. They do different things. Also, one thing that you consistently, and I mean consistently hear from people that actually play with Tyrann Mathieu was that he was the unquestioned leader of the team. And once again, Derek Singh was probably a fine leader, but you profusely, undoubtedly hear that about Tyrann Mathieu as a player. So, yeah, you're all right, Sip. You should penalize Tyrann Mathieu for not being available, especially in that 2012 season. We were hurt. Tyrann Mathieu was our best offensive player in 2011 with the punt returns and the turnovers and all of that. So you make a really good point. It's just Tyrann gave you 2 years of elite play instead of 1. You do penalize him, though, for not being there and being suspended for the Auburn game that year. But I think it's pretty clear that Tyrann Mathieu hit a peak that may never get hit again by a defensive back. There's other guys that have been the Swiss Army knife type of players. Minkah Fitzpatrick's one of those guys that you think of, but I mean, just not anyone quite like him. Once again, you know, J Hill's a friend of mine, so I'm of course going to put him in the top 5. I talk to J Hill pretty regularly now, and he's a big supporter of the channel. So yeah, I even with my biases aside, J Hill's in my top 5. Yeah. But no, Sipji, you make a good point. Just please don't curse, right? Please don't curse. I'm not being PC. It's just a monetization thing. And, you know, I got to feed my dog and my girlfriend and myself because I'm chunky. Yeah, J Hill would be objectively in my top 5. He would be. But once again, I just started with defensive backs because, you know, we bid farewell officially to Tyrann. To Stingley, and I wish Sting nothing but the best. And this is also something else, Daryl. I know we're talking about just defensive backs. Tyrann Mathieu is also the best special teamer in LSU history. He is the best returner, and he is just the best special teamer. Like kickoff coverage, punt coverage, anything special teams related, he's the best ever. Ever. That's all good, Tip. Think we might go after Caleb? No. We are not on Caleb Williams' radar at all. So it's just not going to happen. I wish. I mean, he's definitely. If you were to rank the best quarterbacks returning, he's probably number 2. He's probably number 2. Let's see. I'm getting a bunch of questions now. We're starting to get more people in coming from the women's game. So yeah, it's starting to fly in. Once we get over 100, we get a bunch of comments. So if you want your topic to go to the front of the line, once again, we're showing Derek Stingley a bunch of love for his great 2019 season. Once again, left a lot to be desired, but once again, he's officially gone. I know a lot of you are worried about Cordell Flott. Can he come back? I just don't see the desire for him to come back. And that's not desire and saying he doesn't want to play for LSU. I think Cordell Flott, in his heart of hearts, would like to get another year of college experience. But guys, it's different, for a college athlete, especially a college football player. It is brutal when you lose position coaches. Brutal. And once again, unless you play college football, I didn't. But I'll say this as a high school football player, I had the same position coach my entire career. When I first ever put on a pad, he moved up as I moved up, right? And he's still the position coach at high school. And that was part of the reason why I was a good player, despite being very undersized. I had the same position coach. That continuity, I would have sucked if I didn't have him. There's just no other way around it. A lot of players feel that way as well, right? So as far as Cordell Flott is concerned, I just don't see him coming back, right? I just don't. I would like to. I hope he does. I think it would be better for him and LSU to come back. It's just, this is going to be his, 4th defensive coordinator in 4 years, a new defensive back coach. Well, not a new defensive back coach, 2 new defensive back coaches. He's not coming back. I hate it. He should come back, but we'll see. Greg Brooks Jr. to LSU. Hey, there you go. Good to see Big Al, man. I know you're going through a lot right now. Everyone shows some love to my guy, Big Al. I really don't have an opinion about that. Calzada, I think if you're TJ Finley, though, you do shiver me timbers a little bit because Calzada, I think, was really pursued by the new Auburn offensive coordinator, Austin Mills from the Seahawks. Let's see. Patrick's my all-time favorite, then Badger. Yeah, and, you can make a case. Is there a Badger without Patrick Peterson, right? There wouldn't be a Badger in the NFL if one for Patrick Peterson's mentorship. And the college level, you can make that case too. That's why Patrick Peterson's number 1, man. So before we move on to a different topic, I knew Patrick Peterson fairly well in college, right? I talked to him every week in media sessions. I would see him around campus. He was just a great dude, right? But people in the program will tell you that the DBU thing, the number 7 thing, just that whole movement really started with Patrick Peterson, and he changed it, right? He just changed the culture. You hear that term all the time, but Patrick Peterson was a real trendsetter. And I understand there were great DBs before him, really good DBs before him, but he honestly took it to another level, right? Think Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, right? Mark Jackson was a good coach. Steph Curry was a good player, but Steve Kerr took it to the next level. Not the best analogy, but that's essentially what happened. There were the great players and the great coaches and all that was still there, but PP7 really took it to the next level. So, I mean, he's still going to be my number one, right? Yeah, it's funny. The Wingo kid. I'm very interested. New defensive lineman. They need bodies there too. Honestly, at this point, guys and gals, there's only one position group that is set in stone, right? And that's wide receiver. That is the only position group. That's it. That's the only position group where we have even a remote ounce of clarity. We don't have that at quarterback just yet. We definitely don't have that on the offensive line. We definitely don't have that at running back. On the defensive line, we have some clarity of how it's going to look next year. But the second unit, we don't really know a whole lot about. Linebacker, there's no clarity, and there's sure as heck very little clarity about the defensive backfield right now. So yeah. Chillmonger, I didn't because it's just not going to happen. Cameron Ward's going to go somewhere where he's for sure going to play. Quinn, this is true. And especially, and Quinn, you look a little bit younger, right? The younger generation, something else that really helped Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu that Chad Jones didn't really have and Corey Webster didn't really have and all those guys, Ryan Clark, is they started to play when YouTube highlights really became a thing, right? So Tyrann Mathieu had a little bit of the perfect storm. He's still the best. He's still the most highlight-worthy LSU player, arguably pre-2019 ever. And Tyrann Mathieu on YouTube was a phenomenon. It still is. I do agree with this, though. Sting. And I think that's part of the reason why, Derek Sting was just so refined. I give a lot of credit to his dad for that. So, yeah. And, yeah, Ja, I was actually on the sideline for that play. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Showing some love to Corey Webster. I love it. So, yeah, we'll move on a little bit from the defensive back topic. I like to mix it up just a little bit, though. So there you go. Let's see here. I believe all the Arkansas transfers to Louisiana is coming to LSU. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't want to get too deep into Arkansas stuff, but there's apparently some mutiny with the coaching staff and the defensive backs coach, which doesn't make sense, right? Arkansas just had the best season they've had, since Bielema beat us down. I don't know what's happening there. I really don't. So yeah. Gotta go. My wife needs attention. Good night. Master Blaster. You left us for a few days and now you come back and then you say, my wife needs attention. Master Blaster. Take care of your business, my friend. Hope all is well. And Quinn, welcome to the channel. Good to see you, man. I say, go get your money, young man. That's true, Ed. Love me. Tyrann Mathieu's his special team. Tyrann Mathieu's special team. Jarvis on special teams was a movement too. Well, I am the answer. I want a nickname shout out like the Master Blaster. Well, you got a lot of things working against you, right? So the first thing is the Master Blaster has been with us for a while. Number two, Master Blaster has also an avatar, right? I know I bring this up all the time. Guys, I'm tired of you guys not having avatars, okay? And it's fine. You don't need to show your face. Be how you want to be. But DRC changed his avatar, which was a great avatar. He had the Navy logo, right? And now I get to see what DRC looks like. It's really cool, right? But the bottom line, in order to get yourself a cool nickname, you gotta have an avatar. It's first thing. Second thing, and this is more important, is Master Blaster is always checking in on me, right? He checks in on the YouTube chat. You feel his passion for PHL. He's also a member of the T-Shirt Club and the Booger Band Club. And on top of that, Master Blaster has super chatted a bunch. He's helped feed my family because this is what I do for a full-time job. So you got to earn that nickname. Kareem and Caden, good to see you. Let's see. LSU down 64-58. Valiant effort, but South Carolina is the #1 program in the country right now. Yeah, Mark. So we actually have some good news on that. The shirts, we have new shirts. We do. Now, they will go on sale next week. I'll also be traveling at the end of next week as well. So, we'll be updating you on Tuesday what the schedule is going to look like. We have a Mike Denbrock deep dive that we're working on right now. Got a lot of things working with the channel, but we do have new shirts coming out pretty soon. Standards aren't too high, man. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard, to be a part of the nickname club, right? And, Jeremy Hill is a fan of the Master Blaster. Big fan. I did Titus, nothing to really be worried about, according to all accounts, but cheers to Quincy. I do. We will have some 2XLs, but they will go fast. So what I decided to do with the new shirts, I only ordered a little bit. There's a viewer of the channel who actually prints shirts. I only ordered a few because, once again, it was my first time working with them, and they look great. They do. And they'll go on sale next week. Also, number 2, there's a new logo, and I wanted to see how it would look. And number 3, these shirts, I'm not going to lie, they are way nicer than our old shirts. They're really nice. So I'm really excited about that. I do not have 4XL. I'll write that down, though. Next time I order some, if I get a 4XL, these shirts are nicer. A little bit better of a design. You need 1X in the shoulders and 3X in the belly. I freaking love it. Let's see. 1X. That's great. I actually feel you on that. If you get 4XL, I'll buy 2. But you're going to need a large. So they'll go on sale probably on Thursday. I'm going to do a live stream on Thursday. There's Van. Van, I hate you. I love it. Van Lathan also about to be a new member of the Booger Band Club. I actually got a bunch of stuff I'm going to be sending to Van. So let's talk about this Jason Hines thing, right? We haven't spent so much time talking about Jason Hines. The shirts will go on sale next week. Also, if you want a shirt, Jay Hill also has a shirt. He's got a new shirt already set up for him. So should be a lot of fun. So look, Van, our top super chatter of the night. Thank you so much. I've been very critical of Chasen Hines over the years. He's been better this year. Give Brad Davis a lot of credit. Okay? Chasen Hines was way better. Chasen Hines in the UCLA game was pretty good. He's had his moments, but this year was better than last year in terms of letting blitzers run through untouched. And a lot of that is just better offensive line coaching. I also think Ed Orgeron mishandled Chasen Hines with all the position switches early in his career. Is he a defensive lineman? Is he a center? Is he a guard? What the heck is happening? So Chasen Hines, there was a report that said he was going to the NFL, okay? Those reports are false. He tweeted out that he is still yet to make a decision. Now, why did people think Chasen Hines was going to the NFL? Well, he was invited to the NFLPA bowl game, okay? So the way it works is college football. God, Van. huh? College football is different. Whereas the NFL, of course, is way different. And what the NFL likes to see is really high upside. And Chasen Hines has really high upside. Okay. He's got tree trunk legs, amazing athleticism. And there are a few plays where Chasen Hines really flattens people. All right. I use this term all the time. He chalk outlines people. In other words, he murders people on the field. Not in real life. That would be weird. But he is a destroyer of souls. With that said, there are a lot of misses and miscommunications and missed blocks and times where he's getting beat. The Mississippi State game was a good example of the Jekyll and Hyde, right? Chasen Hines was a chalk outliner while at the same time someone who missed assignments. Okay. So with two things, going back at each other, Grant says reports false. No, never. Is it better for Chasen Hines to come back? Yes, it's better, right? Because we're so thin on the offensive line. I would prefer for him to come back. Now, with that said, of the starters who came back, Chasen Hines to me is not nearly as good as Ed Ingram and not nearly as good as Austin Deculus, who both of which are going to the NFL. So, yes, I would like Chasen Hines to come back another year under Brad Davis and potentially be our center next year, right? So, yeah, welcome, Britt. Thank you for the super chat, Britt. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, but Chasen Hines can really murder people. Like, he has ridiculous upside or really boosts his stock. So this is why the NFLPA Bowl thing is a big deal, okay? The Senior Bowl is the big all-star game, right? That's the bowl game you want to get to invited to, right? That's the game you want to be at because that's where most of the NFL evaluators are, okay? So once again, I'm a big Chasen Hines fan personally in terms of intangibles because he does show up. It's never been for a lack of effort, his struggles. He does the right things. You never hear any off the field, anything with Chasen Hines. It's just overall he's been wildly inconsistent. Unplayable in my mind in 2020, but in 2021 he got better. There's no other way around it. He got better. Health has always been a concern with him as well. So we'll see. But I'll say this. You guys know I say this respectively as much as I can. Hines in 2020, I honestly think Ed Orgeron made a major mistake. Two things he made, mistakes he made. The first thing, and once again, he's not the offensive line coach. James Craig is the offensive line coach. The first thing, though, is maybe Jason Hines is a better defensive tackle than he is a guard. We still don't know the answer to that. The second thing is we were told leading into 2020 that he was going to be a center. And then in 2018, he actually played a lot in 2018. He played mostly left guard. Okay. So in 2020, we put him at right guard. And from the jump, the Mississippi State game was really rough, to the point where I was like, okay, we got to put someone else in. But they never took him out. They kept throwing him out into the wolves, right? And he kept making mistakes. And what happens is when players that make mistakes over and over keep playing, it begins to start hurting them, right? And never changed anything. He never tried someone else. Maybe there wasn't anyone else on the team that could play right guard. I don't know. But yeah, he was way better. I will say this, he was way better in 2021. I know. But at this point, you just want everyone back you possibly can, right? It doesn't hurt LSU, him coming back, unless, once again, you keep playing players that struggled. One of the biggest issues, and one of the things that made me feel, and I told Van this privately, but I'll say it to you guys now. Part of the reason, and welcome, Sly's Meat Rider. I love that name. I don't know what it means, but it made me chuckle. Part of the reason why I felt so not sour, but just down on Orgeron, because so after the 2020 season, I did some videos where I was like, Ed Orgeron did not coach his team well in 2020. And I got so many emails and DMs from people saying, Carter, we lost all these players, and it was the Rona and all the new coaches, and all of that was true. But the issue was Orgeron never made any adjustments in 2020, and that concerned me. And what happens is if you don't make adjustments and players keep doing things that aren't working over and over, and you keep running schemes over and over that don't work, it begins to start, players start getting hurt, players start getting disinterested, and those things just tend to pile on top of each other, right? And I think Jason Hines is one of the casualties of that. So it's tough. And this is another thing. I agree with this, Carl. And I understand, once again, I know the number one thing people will say about Carl and my comments on this will be, well, Carter Orgeron's not the offensive line coach. True, but you're the head coach. And when it's clear that you got to move some offensive linemen around, you got to move some guys around, right? I think if there is something I could be critical of Brad Davis this year, I'm still shocked that LSU did not try a new center. I'm very shocked by it. Now, Liam's snaps were very consistent, but even then that started to become a little weird. The snap over the head versus Auburn early in that game. That was probably the biggest criticism I have of Brad Davis in year one. I would have liked to have seen more centers get game reps. But yeah. It's true, Tommy. I believe in BK. And that's also true, Ant. Hopefully the new strength and conditioning coach will help out. Huh? Thanks again, Van, for super chatting. I appreciate you as always, my friend. Might be getting a meat van pretty soon in person. Thanks again. Mark, I don't have Forex. We'll probably sell out, but we're going to get more made. Yeah, Danielle, he wasn't a terrible teammate, right? He was a good Tiger. Played through some really bad struggles this year. But let's just say he wasn't Wilkerson or Cushenberry. And that's true. Liam will be successful in something else other than sports. The Enterprise commercial. Hope you're right, Carl. So I started watching, I rewatched the Clemson game versus Alabama earlier today. Now, I didn't watch every single snap, but I mostly focused on Cincinnati's offense. And yeah, they didn't do a whole lot. But, okay, this is what gets really hard for me, okay? You guys come to this channel for, an LSU fan's perspective. We're all LSU fans here. And we want to be as objective as we possibly can, right? And I told myself when I sat down to watch Cincinnati's offense again versus Alabama, don't let your biases seep in because, of course, when you hire a new coach, your biases are at an all-time high, right? And Mike Denbrock we're all really excited about. With that said, I got to defend Denbrock versus Alabama. It wasn't the best game plan. I disagreed with some of the things that they did, but two big things happened in that game, okay? Two big things. The first thing is Cincinnati ran into an issue, and that was Will Anderson, okay? Will Anderson was so huge in that game. I think LSU beats Alabama if Will Anderson isn't on the field. He really changes games. And it's not just coming off the edge. It's the twist stunts. And, there was a twist stunt where everybody went to Will Anderson and they left the defensive tackle unblocked and it was an easy sack. And if the sack wasn't made, Cincinnati would have had a walk-in touchdown, right? So instead of the score, I believe, being 17-3, it would have been 17-10. So that was the first thing, right? Will Anderson being a difference maker was huge. And I did not think Denbrock's offensive line was ready for it. I think it was as much mental as it was physical. They made a lot of mistakes in that game. The second thing is I don't think Desmond Ridder played all that great. I just didn't. But at the same time, Cincinnati skill position guys didn't make the tough plays that I think LSU skill position guys will make. So when you play Alabama, you need your wide receivers to make the 50-50 catches. You need your running backs to make guys miss. And they just didn't do that enough. So that's all there is to it. Let's go to Aaron. Stingley will get his cheeks clapped in the NFL. He's soft. Okay, so we'll get back into Denbrock in just a second. Once again, when you super chat, you get to pick the topic. Let me say this. Here's a good question. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Do you believe Derek Stingley will be as good as Tre'Davious White in the NFL? So Pro Bowl, top 10 corner in the NFL. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Okay? Lots of no's. And while you guys answer this question, you guys saw him in here a little bit earlier. Do a shout out here. Not even close. Stingley will dominate in the NFL. And thinks yes. It's probably 50-50 here. Aaron says he wasn't wasted. Stingley is not a leader. He's soft. Dang, Aaron. Chillmonger follows up. Stingley will be a great pro. He has low mileage, true. And that was by design. His dad knew how to manage his son's career at LSU with the injuries. Very interesting. Come on, Enzy, baby. Look at her. She just got a fresh cut. And would say how beautiful Hey-Hey's here, too.
Hold her right, baby.
She's fine, baby.
She just woke up.
She just woke up to come say hi.
Baby.
Look at that. Oh my God.
She loves you so much.
Oh my God.
I've got her set up for daycare in the morning.
She going to daycare tomorrow?
She's done so good at doggy daycare.
She's been at doggy's daycare. So I want to show some love real quick before we get back in the Sting chat.
Her bow.
Look at Chris. Oh, I got to show Chris with the booger bands. I wanted you to see. See this.
That bow is what? Adorable.
That bow is adorable.
Yes, Danny, you're so cute.
Shout out to Chris.
Nice.
That's in with the booger band right there. Thank you so much.
Cool. Look at the baby.
So shout out to Chris. That's Chris English right there. Thank you so much, Chris, for supporting the channel. That's so good. Okay.
Hey, Jared. Hey, Andrew.
So how many of you think
they're not done saying hi to me? Hold on. And the booger.
Booger.
Look at the baby.
King Ulysses, where have you been?
Hey.
Steven, welcome to the channel. Or is that Italy right there? Is that Italy in the background, Steven?
Do you see her, baby? Look at the camera. Look at her.
She's enjoying it. This is how I feel as well, Bebop. I think it's hard for such a cerebral player like Stingley to play for a defense where you're playing man coverage every single snap.
Oh, goodness.
After playing for Dave Aranda for a full year, I would be disinterested as well, right?
Sweet baby.
So, Chillmonger, do you really believe?
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Chillmonger, she was made to shine. Sad people turn their back on Stingley. Yes, he's been banged up a bit and maybe underperformed, but he's a dude. I don't think anyone's turning their, well, some people might be. But, once again, your best ability is availability. I think there's, you do feel like you're waiting for something else. In other words, there's not many all-time great LSU defensive backs that were only good for a year, right? Almost every single one of them were elite for 2 years. Most of them were elite for 3. Once again, Chris, we appreciate you. So I do have to give everyone an opportunity to. All right, let me make sure I'm back on. Yeah, okay, we're good. Three for 25. Once again, next person that orders Booger Bands, you're getting a gold holograph Tyrann Mathieu. I had to order some more because these have been really hot in our Booger Band orders. So if you want it, get in while you can. Okay, Aaron, I can't put that super chat up. I feel bad for the car running into Quincy Wiggins. The car probably is banged up because Quincy Wiggins is so big. By all accounts, he looks to be okay. Have we been watching the same guy? Stingley is one of the most talented corners to go in the draft in years. I think he'll be a good pro. I think he'll be a good pro. What's very interesting, and I know it's a little bit like beside the point. Christian Fulton actually had a really good year. Also, this is something else. This is why I think Derek Stingley is going to be a good pro. Okay, so there's and this is a good point from Britt. So there is a metric in the fantasy community called breakout age, right? When were you dominant? And what a lot of NFL evaluators fawn over is when was the first year you were like a really dominant football player? And if that year is younger, that means you're really good. So it's your breakout year. Okay, so part of the reason why Jamar Chase was such a highly rated prospect was that his breakout year was when he was super young. It was only his second year as a player. He was the best player on the field at his position in year 2 of his development, right? So when you have a younger breakout year, teams are more willing to take a chance on you, even if you have injury history. So this is a really good point from Britt. Derek Stingley Jr.'s breakout year is really good. I could see this happening too, where he plays some safety towards later part in his year. He's going to go in the first round. Steven, it is in France. I love it. Do you live there? Yeah, his testing numbers are going to be ridiculous. Okay, Sting bandwagon peeps. Can y'all admit that at least he has not shown elite play at LSU most recently? I could give him respect for that breakout year, but not after. And that's true. So that's the key thing. But here's what NFL evaluators will say. We don't care about recency. When did you dominate? Did you dominate early, right? The two best rookies in the NFL by far this year didn't play a down of football in 2020. That's Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase. Both early breakout seasons, both top 100 recruits, both tested off the charts. NFL teams don't care. Do you have elite tape? Derek Stingley's got elite tape. Micah Baskerville's going pro. That's not really a shock. So, yeah. And I know a lot of you have questions about Sting's health. I'll say this, okay? You know, because Chillmonger brought it up a minute ago. What actually happened with Derek Stingley, we don't know. No one asked Ed Orgeron what happened. Nobody knows what happened. No one has asked anyone at LSU, how did Derek Stingley get hurt? Where did he get hurt in practice? We know he got hurt before the season began. We didn't see it. We know he went to Florida for a procedure. We don't know. Blaze, there you go. All you got to do is send a Venmo or Cash App to @Carter the Power. So guys, I'm live right now, so I don't know if Micah Baskerville's going pro. So if you say Baskerville's going pro, I'm guessing there was a Baskerville announcement. I don't know. Michael, I would do the opposite of this. You should care if LSU players do well in the NFL. Once again, it's cool what the Bengals are doing. I wanted to put this photo up. How great is this right here? Huh? But you should. Once again, you guys can you guys can care for whatever you want to care for. I think it is important, though, to keep up with the LSU Tigers in the NFL. Once again, you don't have to watch them, but it's good for recruiting. It's also just good for them, right? Stingley has already won over NFL scouts his freshman year, so he coasted through the last 2 seasons, which I do not blame him for doing so. Okay, so Baskerville did tweet off to the NFL. Thank you. It's Beard 30. We'll see you, Tommy and Tracy. Your booger bands are in the mail. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know if coasted is, I don't know. Let's just say LSU was competitive this year. If we were in playoff contention, I do believe Derek Stingley would have found a way back on the field. Once again, I don't know the extent of his injury. Joe Burrow should be MVP this season. I would say, I keep up with the NFL pretty well. I would probably still give it to Rodgers. Let's see. Stingley made a business decision this season. Got to keep Mike Jones. See, Breezy, you're right about that. Goes back to Orgeron. He didn't even know what he was having surgery. That's true. Like when I heard that LSU jersey, I was like, wait, how does the coach not even know what's happening with his best player? Derek Stingley was risking potential injury playing his third year at LSU with nothing to play for this year. So let's talk about this, David. I don't view Derek Stingley the same way I view as Jamar Chase, right? Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons had dominant sophomore seasons, like beyond reasonable doubt, dominant sophomore seasons. So there was no reason for them to play that third year. Derek Stingley did not have a dominant sophomore season. Now, all preseason mocks did have Derek Stingley as a top 10 pick. And David, welcome to the channel. I do agree with you. There's risk every single time you step on the field. Okay. And maybe Derek Stingley, if he didn't want to risk injury, if that was the case, maybe he should have just opted out for the season. I would have supported that. I still believe you should be draft eligible after 2 years. I just think we're going to see more 2-year players opt out. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it. I hate him, but I don't think it'd be good for college football if Will Anderson said, look, what else do I have to prove? I had the best season. I had a better season than Chase Young. I've had 2 elite years. Why am I doing this? I think we could see more of the third year opt out kind of things. So we'll see. But I do disagree with this. I mean, there is always something to play for. The playoff and winning another national championship. Now, he already won one, but, there's always something to play for. I think the better way to phrase it, David, would be nothing for Stingley to personally gain. Which is true, right? If he is still a top 5 pick after, the season he had this year, which was, basically non-existent, then for him personally, he didn't have a whole lot to gain. So I do agree with this, though, David, to a certain degree. I'm for players that want to opt out. I am. I don't like it. But my thing is, if you're mentally checked out and you're ready for the next step in your life, go get ready for the next step of your life, right? Football is not a sport that you can just come in and just not be mentally in, right? Yeah, it's just not that kind of sport. This is a very violent, you need to be fully locked in sport. So yeah, I if a player wants to opt out, go on ahead. I don't like it. I don't think anyone likes it, right? But we'll see. I would have let me say this. As an NFL, if I was an NFL evaluator, I would have been concerned with how Stingley played as a sophomore. So I think there was something for him to prove, but I also think Stingley is helped out by the fact that this draft class isn't that great at quarterback, isn't that great at offensive tackle. It's got a few really good wide receivers. So it's a pretty good wide receiver class. I don't think it's as good as last year, but I still think it's really good. And yeah, I think that helps out Stingley a lot, right? There's only a few players that you would say are above him. And, Seth Galina tweeted out today at Pro Football Focus that Stingley is the best player in this draft class. You know what? I could make that case too. You really can in this class. This is also something else. Stingley and his dad knew Orgeron didn't know what he was doing. That's why they decided to nurse his injuries. Glad he didn't go to Bama like Ricks. I agree with this to a certain degree as well, right? So I did a deep dive on this offseason, right? Derek Stingley Jr. going into the season about the offense thing. And in my deep dive as to why I thought Derek Stingley should not have even been considered to play offense, I shared some clips about the messaging about him playing offense, and it started to not make a whole lot of sense from Orgeron's words. So I do agree with this I actually do agree with this. I think Sting, guys, I'm sorry to say this. If you play a full year with Dave Aranda and the next 2 years you had what you had, I mean, look, Dave Aranda's what, a top 15, he was a top 5 coach this year. It's hard. It's really hard. So, yeah, I mean, and then this is also a big thing, Cordell Flott leaving. Year 2000 that's cool, Steven. I like that. Yeah, I love a good avatar like that with France as the background. Here's another avatar I love right here. Look at that, Michael. Look at those smiles. Look at that love. I freaking love it. I agree with this, except for Corey Webster. I think Sting is on that level. But once again, Corey Webster, gave you more than 1 year of elite play. I know I am still cranky over the BB game, but I'm really frustrated with the personal gain. Call me old school. Football is a team sport, not an I sport. The team helped him have place to shine. I agree with this too, Danielle, about personal gain, right? Football is a team sport, but this is where I disagree with you, okay? Football is a team sport, but it is a very unique team sport. And it goes back to the mental aspect of this game. Okay. If you are mentally checked out and you're thinking about the next level, don't play. I'm dead serious. Don't play. I was like that as a player too. Okay. So, I was talking about it earlier this week. I lost one of my closest teammates this week. And one of my favorite things about that teammate in particular was I would go up against him a lot in practice. He always made me want to be there. But one of my favorite things about him was that I knew he always wanted to be there, right? My teammate, Marari. We were a bad, my final year, we were a bad team, okay? But there were some people there that didn't want to be there, and I hated it. It drove me crazy. They were thinking about, whatever else. Okay. So when you are mentally thinking about whatever is next, I don't want you to, that's the thing, right? And in the NFL, you start thinking about that. You start thinking about the generational life-changing money that could be there. So I do agree with you. Football is a team sport, but some players have preferential treatment, right? It's rare that you're going to get 3 elite years out of a player anymore, right? The Patrick Petersons and Jamal Adams, it's going to be hard to find those types of guys that can keep their bodies in good health and play every game at an extremely high level. It's just hard. Let's go to Jason, a member of the Booger Band Club. Looking at the portal, there's some serious chance to add depth across the D-line and linebacker with quality guys. I agree with that. Obviously, the Virginia linebacker is a guy LSU is currently after. And the defensive line, There's some good players on the defensive line. Depth is definitely needed. We are going to, I mean, I think Quincy Wiggins is a year one guy. We got to see, the extent of his injury today. That's I was going to set him back a little, but we'll see. Jason, do you have a name for me that you want me to look up real quick in the portal? Gray, welcome to the channel. When he was healthy and dominated, it was all good. Gets injured. Now you disrespect what he's done. Average NFL player at best is crazy. I think he's going to be really good. I think he will be. It's extremely hard to make the Pro Bowl at corner, though, right? That's true. Joe Fouché. Or Joe Foucha. I think it's Fouché. Let's go. I think there's two, actually. I think Devin Bush went into the portal as well. David, thank you for the super chat, man, and welcome to the channel. Everyone show David some love. I think you've been in here before, David. Welcome. Jason's one of my day ones, man. Love me some Jason. Your Alex Bregman card for your little man is in the road. Also, in the mail, also hooked you up with some other goodies. Ooh. I hope. I wish the best for Stingley. I hope so. That's true. It's true. Welcome, David. Christopher, what position would you fill with the 5 transfer spots? The good news is there's no limit on transfers. Dead serious. There's no limit. So LSU has had 7 players leave. I think their total scholarship count for 2021 class right now is at 15. So that means they could still theoretically, what's 32 minus 15? They could still sign 18 guys from the portal. Can you believe that? They could sign 18 transfer portal guys. Yeah, Carvis, that's a tough one right there. Marshawn's so daggum good. Brandon Joseph, the safety from Northwestern. No, you the man, Jason. I think it's going to be so cool, though, for your son. You just met Alex Bregman, and he's going to have an Alex Bregman rookie card. It's the only Alex Bregman card that I have. I don't collect LSU baseball, so it should go to your son. Oh, is that not math? What's 18 plus 15? What's 18 plus 15? What's 18 plus 15? No, that's 33. So 17. If it is 15 signees. No, David, thank you for hanging out. Just stay away from Jared. We have 18 spots available. There you go. So we have 14 signees and 18. So 18 spots. There you go. What's up, Bruce? Good to see you. LSU resume. Well, I agree with that, La Rougarou. Vet running back. Ooh, I know a lot of you just from reading my emails. You were pissed off when you saw that Zach Evans to Ole Miss news. Kind of scary. He's going to put up some big numbers in that Lane Kiffin offense, right? I could see it. I could definitely see that. I remember I was at Patrick Peterson's pro day, right? He came out in the same year as Cam Newton. And Ron Rivera, I got to meet Ron and talk to him. He was the first-year coach with the Panthers then. And Ron Rivera was really serious about taking Patrick Peterson number 1. Of course, they were going to take a quarterback, and it was the right decision. Cam was really good in the NFL. But, he took Peterson to dinner. He really wanted to do it. And, he was right with this evaluation. Peterson's a Hall of Famer, but still. If there were no quarterbacks, I think Carolina would have taken him number 1. Sorry for some burps there. Hope I didn't lose any subscribers for those burps. You guys got to forgive me. I did not have good grades at LSU. And I don't know a whole lot about Brandon Joseph. Here's the thing. So as many of you know, time is very limited. And with the transfer portal being the way that it is now, it's kind of hard, to sit and watch transfer portal film because, these kids can go anywhere. Okay. So we're about an hour 40 into it. Once again, we get into some free-flowing topics here at the end. You guys can, whenever we get to about the 2-hour mark, you guys can ask me any question about anything. But obviously keep it LSU football related if you can. I know some of you ask me what's your favorite movie or whatever. You can ask me anything. I know normally Thursdays we have a guest. We're trying to work it out with Justin Vincent. He couldn't do it tonight because, it was a big women's basketball game tonight. But Justin Vincent is very interested in coming on and hanging out with you guys. And that would obviously be another pretty huge freaking guest. So I didn't want to just rush someone else on there. So we should have a guest for next Thursday. It's funny. We haven't talked a whole lot about Brian Kelly tonight, ironically. A lot of Derek Stingley chatter tonight. Yeah, Christopher, so I watched a lot of, I know a lot of you are just joining now. I watched a lot of the Cincy-Bama game today. And if you're just not joining us, I'll touch on this very briefly. I think one thing in particular killed Cincinnati, and it's tough to really see this when you're actually just watching the game, and it is important to rewatch the games, is the were twist stunts. Okay, so I'll do this just for you, Christopher, and I hope you guys bear with me. I'll pull it up right here. I won't be able to play the video, but I want to show you what I'm talking about here. Let me see. No, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. All right. Boba Fett's pretty good right now. Yeah, they tore Houston up. That was a really good game for Mike. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. So I'm gonna do a few screenshots and I'll pull it up on here. Okay. Okay. Do a quick little film study here. I promise you it's going to be worth it. Okay. Okay. So, okay. All right. So here we go. And what I'm going to do is Johnny Reed coming back? I don't know the answer to it. I would guess yes. I don't see how he's going to get drafted. Did you watch what Kelly said at the game about how he wanted to build the program? I did. It was very impressive. I'm really excited, right? It's hard to not get excited with any new coach. It could have been any new coach during the interview right there. It's just exciting, right? To have a new coach. and a new era of LSU football. So I hope I don't get my YouTube channel shut down for this. So RSX, I'll get back into Brian Kelly, but I want to show you this quick little Mike Denbrock thing right here. Okay, let me see if I could put this up. No, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Okay, I'll just try. I'll just try and do this. Okay. If we can get the grades up. All right. So let me. All right. So here, I'm going to show you a series of plays here. Okay. Let's move this, move this, move this, move this. Okay. So this was a play that really stuck out to me on film. RSX, yeah, I'm really excited though. All right. So let me show you this. All right. So this was a play that really stuck out to me. So the score at this point, let me make sure I get this score right here. Okay, so this would have tied the game. All right. So this right here isn't on Mike Denbrock, but this is just simple football IQ. Okay. So obviously, Bama, what they're going to end up doing, the Mike linebacker right there actually picks up a crossing route, and you'll see what happens here. All right, so you see Will Anderson, he's to the left of your screen. He twists around, and Will Anderson is the reason why the sack happens. All right, so this is photo number 1. We then go to photo number 2. Actually, no, this is photo number 2 right here. Okay, so actually, this is photo number 2. So you see they run a twist stunt. It's to the left right there. And what happens is this defensive tackle going through the left tackle and left guard is about to come through unblocked. Okay. Now we go to this, and you see Desmond Ridder is getting sacked. But notice if this twist stunt to the left was picked up, you see the wide receiver running deep, he would have been walking into the end zone for a touchdown. This safety is jumping on this crossing route. And if this twist stunt to the left of the screen was picked up, this would have been a tied game. I need some Madden drawings. We'll work on the Telestrator. But yeah, this once again, me just drawing something up. Yeah, so DRC, what happened on that play? Once again, it's not easy to do. I was just showing you a little late film study. I know it sucked. But that was just a simple twist stunt. That just needs to get picked up, right? If you pick it up, if Will Anderson isn't on the field, that's a touchdown because everyone was worried about Will Anderson. They let the defensive tackle walk through unblocked, and that would have been an easy walk-in touchdown. So, yeah, to put it lightly, I was very critical of Denbrock's scheme at first. But the bottom line is Denbrock actually called a decent game. I know Blake and Are You Serious, my good friend, said that from the get-go. I think Denbrock could have called a better game, but me and Blake are in agreement. Cincinnati had plays. Their guys just almost cursed there, but they crapped the bed. They really did. Cincinnati choked. Their offensive players choked on the biggest stage, and it sucks, right? That's the thing. As much as we don't want to admit it, you got to have a certain type of mentality to beat Alabama, right? You got to have somebody in your locker room, whether that be Jimbo Fisher, whether that be Joe Burrow. You got to have a little bit of YOLO to you. And Cincy just crapped the bed. They really did. They dropped a touchdown on the first drive. That play right there should have been a walk-in touchdown. A decent throw would have turned that into an easy touchdown. I don't think the defensive back catches a wide receiver on that deep pass right there if you lead him decently. So I do agree with this. Alabama would have eventually won the game. They had more talent than they did, but Nick Saban also outcoached them. Who replaces Austin Thomas? That's a good question, Brett. Nobody. And the reason why is that Austin Thomas's position is very unique to LSU. There's no general managers in college football. They don't exist. Exactly, DRC. That's how I felt too. I thought Michigan's got 2 ends that are going to be first-round picks. Their back 7 has speed. Harbaugh just did not have them ready. They thought that they were just going to walk in with their regular game plan and win that game. Harbaugh was bad in that game. But then again, this is Georgia's best team ever. So that's all there is. So Chillmonger, I would tend to agree with this. Desmond Ridder is going to be a top 3 round quarterback. They have a wide receiver that's currently the number 10 wide receiver on the board. They have a running back who is currently the number 10 running back on the board. They have 2, defensive backs that are going in the first couple of rounds. Once again, Bama's got more talent from top to bottom, in particular the trenches, and that was ultimately a big difference in that game. But Cincinnati missed their explosive play opportunities. They dropped touchdowns, and their pass protection broke down in critical spots. Cincinnati's offensive line, they weren't as bad as they should have been versus Alabama. They just sucked. Will Anderson special, and that was a difference, but still. There you are, Cliff. And that's also true. I think Frank Wilson is going to be the general manager, basically. Yeah, I think Mike could have called a better game, but Cincy's receivers had a bad day. They didn't make the 50-50 grabs. They dropped catchable passes. Offensive line crapped the bed, and Ridder didn't have a good game. Here's the thing. You can call the absolute best game of the world versus Bama, okay? And you can beat other teams with a really greatly called game, and your players not playing at their absolute best. But in order to beat Bama, you've got to make 50-50 plays. And since he just didn't. I just looked it up. The best recruiting class since he had in the last 4 years was ranked number 40, freaking 40, comparing apples to apples. Yeah, it's true, too, where there was a huge talent gap. My major point, though, is so I agree with you, Britt. At first, when I first watched the game, I was like, okay, This was clear. Bama just had way more talent than Cincinnati had. But after a rewatch, I still feel that same way. But Cincy just crapped the bed to make that game a little bit more compelling, right? There is a mental aspect to it. Yeah, Rob, it wasn't my best breakdown, but here's the thing. To beat Bama, you got to have explosive plays. You've got to hit explosive plays down the field. The same thing it is. That's what Bama did to Georgia, right? They got vertical. And the play you just saw, even though it wasn't drawn up like a Madden telestrator, if you pick up that twist stunt and you give Ritter just a little bit of time, he's hitting that wide receiver for a walk-in touchdown. And it's walk-in because the safety was flat-footed because he tried to jump the over route. Ryan says, I watched 2 years of Cincinnati and not sure why Mike got vanilla versus all Bama games. Yeah, Ryan, shoot me an email if you can. powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Let me know. Or even better, if you're on Twitter or Instagram, @CarterThePower. Shoot me a DM on either one of those and let me know what you're talking about, because obviously I haven't watched 2 years of Cincinnati play. I won't be able to. I did have a friend that played on the team, but I'm not going to be able to, break down every play. So if you did watch Cincinnati for 2 years, feel free to shoot me a message. Danielle, probably not. I did it last year and it kind of flopped. So we'll probably just do a live stream on Saturday. I think our next live stream will be Saturday. It might be Sunday. It just depends. We go back and forth. I think our next one's going to be Saturday. But just be on the lookout. I think that's a pretty good analogy, right? LSU is Alabama. It's true. The difference, though, is Michigan had everything go their way. They had the snow. They had the inclement weather, which, of course, benefited Michigan's style of play. They also had a crazy home field advantage in that game. There was something mythical in the air. Plus, I actually bet Michigan that game. Michigan had 2 elite pass rushers going up against Ohio State. And when you play a strictly vertical passing team and you have 2 elite pass rushers, you're going to eat. Danielle's coming for my super chats. I see ya. And happy birthday to you. January 10th. There you go. I'm also a January birthday as well. So there you go. Who else? Which LSU player had a birthday today? I know it's Colin Cowherd's birthday today. No, it was Will Campbell's birthday today. That was it. Happy birthday to Danielle. It is my birthday month, so I expect generous super chats. Oh, Matt's a January birthday as well. Good to see you, Matt. And your birthday was yesterday? My man. North Louisiana, stand up. We are 2 hours into it. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Where's your hood? Where are you checking in from? I've got to go running. I'm getting chunky. Ugh. Need a haircut as well. Happy birthday, Aunt. Chillmonger, you're in Nashville? That's awesome. I'm going to hit you up next time I'm in town, man. West Monroe, Louisiana. What's up, Jeremy? Look at you. You got the shades on, the tie. San Antonio's in the building. I'm supposed to be doing keto. That's true, William. Yeah, Eric, where we're going in Nashville, man. I love Nashville. There's just no other way around it. I'd be interested in living in Nashville. I really would. Haley lived there for a long time. So everyone thinks Nashville is just honky tonks. It is a lot of honky tonking. I just love it, man. My favorite restaurant in Nashville was a place called the Stillery. And whenever I bring it up to Nashvillians, they don't know what I'm talking about. The Stillery is fire. I go there every time I'm there. I hadn't been there in a few years. Eric says I'd rather be in Homa. Mobile. Chris is in Missouri. President of the Georgia chapter. Gatlinburg. Who is the most important to keep with Butte officially back now? Taking quarterbacks out of the equation because, they have such a huge effect on the game. So it is important to keep all three of those quarterbacks. Second most valuable player. You can actually make a strong case that it's Ojulari simply because if we're going to run the defense that House ran in 2018, that outside linebacker, the bandit end, the jack end, whatever you want to call it, I would probably go Ojulari there. There's a lot of different guys, but Kayshawn is just so far ahead of everybody on the team. So, yeah. Monroe, Baton Rouge, Stacy, welcome to the channel. Shreveport area, but in San Antonio. I've never been to San Antonio, right? I need to go. It was cool. There was 9,000 people in the PMAC tonight for a women's basketball game. It's pretty cool, right? Nothing will ever beat, though, the Sylvia Fowles versus Maya Moore. Two iconic, legendary basketball players. It's crazy. Birmingham. Yeah, so that was Josh Allen's best year, and that was House's last year. There's always a possibility of this, but we'll see. All right, guys, I'll hang out for about a few more minutes, but if you super chat, we'll hang out here all night. You guys know how that works. Yeah, Jeremy, I don't think anytime soon, though, because everything is just so fluid. So I don't think you're going to get a press conference anytime soon. You will after the signing period in February. Any of y'all going to the basketball game on Saturday? We'll see, William. Obviously, Citizen Matthews is going to be the two biggest recruits. Welcome to the channel, Anthony. It's just kind of hard to say at this point. But yeah, I think everyone here wants Hankton here. I lost all respect for Nuss. Once again, there's so many factors there. I still think he should have played, but I'm glad John Trey got to have his moment. There you go. Top super chatters tonight. As usual, Danny Girl, thank you for all your support. Me and Haley really do appreciate it. Shout out to Van, always supporting the channel with those fat super chats. I appreciate it. Jared's always super chatting. I appreciate you now. Chillmonger, the stuff you up there, one of our top super chatters tonight. And always, Chillmonger, next time I'm in Nashville, I'll give you a ride back to Homa. I like Homa. I'm a Homa guy. Not redundant at all. It's lit, baby. All right, guys. Danielle, reverse super chat. My youngest is a Haley. There you go. Very nice. And you spell it correctly. Haley doesn't like the HAYLEYs. I know, Jared. Working on it. Power hour. LSU bomb. It's double stuff Oreo time. Let's